Okay, next up is Aline with the topic of the week. Clerk's office and elections. Starts at page 31.
Thank you.
So the big things are the office salaries. That was a decrease due to the restructuring up front. I did increase professional development, just being a new clerk and having 2 new deputy clerks. We do need to go to a few more trainings. Public notices, we did increase that based on historical notices. And then on page 32, election salaries, that was decreased just based on historical usage. We keep that the same every year. And the rest of those numbers we keep the same because it fluctuates every year based on how many elections we have.
Any questions for Aline? Doug?
Yeah. Are we training somebody as deputy clerk?
The water utility billing clerk and the court clerk are now deputy clerks as well as their other job duties.
So they would get professional development also?
They're included in this for the clerk training.
Yeah, okay.
Just so you know, part of their salary has been reallocated, like we talked about. A lot of it's because of the new assistant planner, kind of be restructured up front, so it's part of that. But, just so, I don't know if you know about Aline, she's been working, she'll probably have 70 hours this week, so they've been very busy with this election, especially for this one, it's been extremely busy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think early voting is exploding everywhere. Right? Yeah.
Did you have a lot more today?
Yeah, I didn't get a final number.
But one more day.
Yeah.
Do we have any strange things going on, like people stalking the clerk's office, or no?
No, we had an exit pollster a couple days, but he wasn't causing any issues. You could just walk right by him and he wouldn't do anything.
Fingers crossed next Tuesday goes well.
Do we have enough volunteers?
Yeah, we have enough scheduled.
Anyone else? Okay, thanks, Aline. Mark, it's your show now.
Yeah, so these are some smaller ones, but they have a couple things. Legislative on page 20, that would be the council's salary. We do have $500 in there for professional development, but it's the same budget as last year. So if anybody wants any type of professional development, just let us know. Judicial after that, that would be your court clerk, and also the judge is in that account. It did go down. A lot of it is because of health insurance. Prior court person was family, and now we're at single, so that does make a big difference. So next one after that would be executive office. So this one, it maybe, so this one, executive salary, one includes the mayor, but also includes the city administrator. They do get it, their salary does get allocated over different funds too. So like the executives, city administrator is also in charge of the utilities, so there's charges to all the 4 different utilities, and so it's all allocated. So if you look at it like, why is it the way it is for salary wise? I did put, because we'll probably be going out here, sometime early next year for the administrator. So I did move it up to 120. So it's something to think about. I put it in there as a placeholder. So if that's something you guys want to switch, that's what I have in there for right now. That's what I put in there. It was 112. So that's where. So I put it at 120 for now. Sustainability coordinator, that was actually kind of the planning person, so we use that salary to offset the assistant planner. Now that cost is in the planning budget. Sustainability, or newsletter expenses. So we used to have a newsletter, it was copy that basically kind of Jake was more in charge of it. We send it out twice a year. We're no longer doing that, so we have decreased that cost from 12,000 down to 1,000. There's still other, newsletter expenses as far as the domains and stuff like that we have to use, or the websites we use for, and Zoom, I think is also, not Zoom, but so there's like the newsletter expense that we
So
currently
like
have.
for constant contact.
Yeah. Next would be the sustainability initiative. We did increase that budget. Last year was 1,000. This year we put 2,000 in there. And then I think that's going to be something the committee will be looking at, how they're going to want to spend that money for 2023. Codification is their code company, so that increased. It's basically $2,400 is their annual contract.
Any questions on that?
Next is personnel, which is page 36.
Mark, can you just explain about codification?
So like we do an ordinance change, we send it away and they put it in our ordinance. So it's a third-party company that does it for us.
Okay.
Several years ago, we did like a recodification
Yeah.
process
Yeah.
where we went through,
Yeah.
So this is the
I know
annual
it's the
updates.
same company, but went through
Yeah.
the entire code, and now they just update every year.
Got it. Okay.
Which was it?
36.
Page 36. So this is, the main change here is health insurance for retired personnel. We have a fire EMS personnel that's retiring, so that increased from 30,000 to almost 43,000. We have our wellness program that's increased, just we always had a wrong rate in it. It looks like it was 3,300, should have been budgeted 2,900, so and that's all the changes for that account. Insurance, page 44. I don't know if most of you know, we actually are part owners of our insurance company called Cigna.
Sorry, can I jump back just 1 second to the personnel?
Yeah.
And then I just saw recruitment expenditures. Have we decided at this point whether or not we go out for the city administrator, whether or not we're going to?
If we're going to use a third party, I'll leave that up to you.
Yeah, we haven't
We haven't
decided.
You haven't
discussed
decided.
it.
Okay.
I don't envision that happening probably till February or March. Bill
Right.
Cole is telling me, and I think he's right, until we know who the mayor is,
But,
a lot of people aren't going to be interested in applying
but
until we know.
But that's something we can talk about when we get closer.
Yeah.
Okay. At least-
I think just given from what we saw last time, the company that does a fair amount of in Wisconsin was getting the same applicants we were getting.
Yeah, it's basically the same exact
Yeah,
ones.
so,
Page 44 for insurance, workers' comp, that actually decreased from 122,000 down to 116. That's based on, there's a ratio based on, it's a 3-year rolling average. And I think one of the years that, one of the bad years actually was starting to come off, so that decreased. Other than that, it's basically the same. Other government, other general government, which is page 47. Legal taxes, is 10,000. This is where we would pay any type of lawsuit regarding a tax lien, like the hotel or Walmart. That would come out of this account. This would be our share only. Or sometimes there's personal property taxes that are not collectible. We'll have to write them off through this account too. Next would be debt service.
what page?
so 151, I think.
Yeah. Which page?
Did you say 150?
151.
Thank you.
So debt service, this is a little bit, there is an increase. The reason why the increase, if you go down to the second to last revenue account called transfer from general fund, we would transfer money in for the general fund because our fund balance was over our policy number. Did not put it in this year because we're basically right at close to the 20%. Once you start using, going a little below the 20%, just from working with S&P, and they rate us, they kind of see that as a little bit of a red flag if we're starting to go too much into the fund balance policy, so I kind of left it at that for this year. We did fund balance applied. You can see last year was $2,250,000. Well, that would be part of the San Damiano payment for the grant money. And so this year we do have some fund balance applied, $110,000 of debt service. But if you look at the actual expenditures, last year was $6 million, but if you back away that $2 million of that one-time big principal payment, which would make it $4,032,000. So it actually, debt service actually technically only went up expense-wise $100,000, but since we used fund balance from the years before into the transfer, that's why there's an increase in the overall property taxes. I don't know if that makes sense to people.
Yeah.
The next page would be the library debt service. We have 2 years left of that. So I don't know, we basically used one of the TIFs to pay off the library debt. So we saved, I can't remember the exact amount of interest, I think it was $80,000 to $100,000 at the time. So we just been slowly paying back the TIF.
So it doesn't really cost us.
It doesn't cost us interest. Yeah, so basically have $150,000 left, so we'll pay this year and then next year, then that's completely paid off. That. Next would be the TIFs, which starts on 153. So just so there's a lot of running around with pages, but if you go to page, just kind of want to show how this works. Page 8.
8?
Page 8. So this is a rolling number for the revenue side. We kind of want to explain how that works. So this is a calculation. It's a worksheet that shows how we get to the calculation of these TIFs. So we get the Dane County levy, get the school district, get the Madison College, and the city. They give us what the levies are. There's this equalized rate, and it ends up. There's a whole formula, but then you see the 2000 tax increment. That shows how much this $3.7 million is what our increment is. And so that's divided at the very bottom, equalized value per district. There's a little table underneath that. So there's the first column is equalized value, and then the 2023 TIF increment in 2022. So when I get the new Madison College number, the school district number, the Dane County numbers, these numbers will all change. So it's kind of a rolling number based on what the final numbers are for the levies. So TIF 4, so just people know, it's kind of, TIF 4 is Minnow Drive. That's Minnow Drive.
Yeah.
So 2022, the increment went up, I think about $9 million, if I'm not correct, or $10 million. There's a bunch of sales that happen on Minnow Drive, commercial sales, so that increased the value. TIF 5, which is, I call it the old Garden Circle Heritage. That values basically stays the same. You can see the increments basically the same from year to year. TIF 6, which is the clinics, that's basically the same. Hasn't been really much changed. TIF 7, there was a big increase because Fairway Glen was revalued. It was sold during the year, so they really increased the value of that increment.
Oh, they sold it?
They sold it to another company. Yep.
Okay.
In 2021. TIF 8, which we used to call the Tray Stop. It's
Yeah,
now
our landing.
Yep. So that's $28 million for basically that one piece of property. And then TIF 9 is the current. So we're almost basically at $60 million of increment. So
Is that all from the current, or is there anything else?
just mainly the two projects, or the two apartments, or two apartments and the hotel.
Hotel, right.
And there's a little bit of the it's the yacht club. They put
They put some money into it.
put some money into it.
Put some-
They put some of our money.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
reinvested it
Yeah.
in the
money was
But
reinvested.
boy, doesn't it look nice.
It sure is a nice number, though, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, that's
Yeah,
kind of.
Considering what we thought it was going to be even 5 years ago.
So-
it's really-
Right.
So,
Yeah, what was the estimate? You thought it was going to be 5 years ago?
It's going to be 30-something, we thought.
36 to 40, maybe?
Yeah, 40, I think they were
Like that.
thinking.
The riverfront.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You were estimating it at only 40?
At the time,
that's what,
At the
At
time, they did all
I'm
the
sure that
numbers.
I'm sure that, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
5 or
Quite a
6 years ago, they were doing all the analysis. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, this last building was, I think, 28 million, 29 million.
Yeah.
So,
It's amazing.
But this money can only go back to
Until it's paid off.
that developer. I mean, it's not like money we can
Well, it doesn't go
use.
back, it goes back to pay off the loans that we took out.
yeah, so basically, if I can go through each TIF if you want to see. So each one has their own debt.
Yep.
So it's not in the city debt, the TIF pays it back. Like TIF 4 was Monona Drive, so a lot of it there was 2 big projects. There was the Frostwoods and the Woodland Commons, that Slindy area. They were the 2 drivers of that, but it basically paid for the whole Monona Drive, the non-utility work. So we paid over $2 million probably in right-of-way purchases, undergrounding. So a lot of that was paid through this TIF that never actually hit the taxpayers. So it's taken the full amount to pay it off, the full 27 years, but it saved a lot of money onto the taxpayers.
Yeah.
So right now, we're just paying back the debt. So like a lot of these are 20-year loans.
So do you want to go to the TIF pages? now?
Yeah, if you just go to pitch, I'll go through them really quick. And just kind of
What's the,
153. Again, TIF 4 is Monona Drive. So you see the increment. It's approximately 725,000. And the principal and interest is 681,000 total. This should be paid off in 4 to 5 years. TIF 5 is our kind of the problem child as far as the TIFs. So I don't know if you guys all remember how TIF 5 was set up. So TIF 5 was, they called Monona Gardens. There was a lot of basically slumlords. There was a project basically was going to be sold to a developer, and the developer backed out, so the city got involved and bought all these properties up because there was a lot of police calls, sexual assault. I mean, it was a kind of a problem area. Yeah, Garden Circle.
yeah,
yeah.
drug being.
Yeah. So the city came in there and bought it. But the city bought it, so we had to demo it, and then we had to hold it on. We hold on to it for a while because we had to find a developer to get in there. So it took a while, so we were incurring costs. So it's taking a little bit longer to pay off. But so there's a donor district for this one, which is TIF 6. So TIF 6, if you have extra increment, you can donate to another district. So TIF 6 is going to TIF 5 to hopefully pay that off a little bit quicker. And we are starting to make large principal payments in this one too. It's like you can see this year we'll be paying $1,150,000.
and remind me, TIF 6 is the clinic?
TIF 6 is the
Clinics.
clinics.
Yeah.
So TIF 6,
Yahara clinics?
very successful
And
clinic,
UW.
very successful TIF, so it has enough money that's been transferring over to TIF 5. This is the UW and the Merida Clinic. This is one where the city didn't have to buy the property. The person came in, tore down the storage units and built up. So we did have a developer's agreement because the land, I believe, had some, they could put borings and other stuff in there. But it was a very successful TIF. We'll close this in 5 years. We could close it in 5 to 6 years. Once
Yeah,
we're done.
we were actually down next to the UW clinic earlier this week, we meaning the Plan Commission, just
Yeah.
looking at the chief site, and we were thinking about when the UW was actually built. So do you remember when this trip was started? I can't remember. If you've only got 5 years left.
Well, 5 years because it's so successful, we can pay off the
Right.
debt, and the donor district will be up.
This was like 2008 or something like that, Doug, do you
I'm
remember?
trying to
Later
get
than
out.
that.
10, I think it was.
Bob, I think
I don't
Bob
think it
was
was-
mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pat was still here at the time.
It was before I started on council, and that was 2012. I know that.
So this is 4 or 5 years too. So we're thinking Winona Drive and this within 4 or 5 years?
Well, yeah, and then just, you know, if you know that we do renew Monona, so you can keep open an extra year
Yep.
too. So,
Yeah.
so that's a strategy that's taken by the city, but yeah, they were probably 5 years away.
Assuming you're done using the increment to pay off some
Yeah.
of these other
Yeah.
tips.
You're only
Yep.
allowed to use it so many years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once that's up, you can close it. It's a successful TIF, very successful TIF. TIF 6 was. TIF 7, again, is the Fairway Glen, which is completely paid off right now. But I'm using it kind of right now because it's within technically a half mile, so I'm paying for, you'll see it next year, I'm paying for the neutral project.
The what?
The neutral project, I think.
Dean and Monona Drive.
Yeah, because it's close enough within a half mile, I can pay for that instead of the city paying for it because it's technically not in the TIF yet. So, so there's advantages to leaving TIFs open. But again, we'll probably be looking at, the CDA will be looking at, do you want it, keep it open a year, one will close it, but they'll do it next year to get the renew Monona money. So I say that's 2 or 3 years away.
Yep.
TIF 8, another very successful TIF. Which again, Trista, I call it Trista, so I'm just going to stick with it. That's how I know it. That used to be a mobile home park. If people, I don't know if people remember, that was a mobile home park that started and developer backed out, and then Trista came in and built there. So this again was within a half mile of TIF number 9, so we actually purchased some of the properties in TIF 9 and TIF 8. Even with those purchases, we were able to donate. This is a donor too to TIF 9. Doesn't donate a ton, but it does donate to TIF 9. And again, will be paid off at the same time TIF 6 is paid off, so probably 5 to 6 years. Very successful. Again, that's one of those TIFs where you don't have to go out and buy it. Somebody comes in and builds it. Those TIFs are the ones you want. 'Cause
Not much infrastructure.
right. TIF 9 is just the current, so it's the most active one. So there's salaries in there for the planners, and then there's the debt in there too. So and that's all I have.
Any questions for Mark about tips or debt service or? So I think we don't have anything else, do we?
No, just kind of the next steps.
Yeah, next steps would be if anybody has any amendments they would like to make. We will have first read of this on Monday and second read 2 weeks from now. So you could just have the amendments for the second read. I don't know, do they have time to get an amendment into like tomorrow morning or
If they
something?
do,
Or we've got
otherwise-
the agenda's pretty well set.
Otherwise, if you have them by Monday before the meeting, we
That's
just
true.
We'll hand them out if somebody has something they want to talk about. We'll have a couple of technical ones, there's some changes, but.
We won't be voting on any of the amendments this coming week.
Right.
Sorry, is this already in the budget, or was
It
this?
is.
It is.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was just trying to break up the cost.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't know if we have anything else other than that.
No, but I'm prepared for a long meeting on Monday.
Yeah.
We have maybe a developer's agreement, and we have a budget that goes into it, and we also have the ADA stuff, so.
The what?
Presentation.
ADA transition.
The ADA
plan.
report.
Yeah.
And were you going to check those dates?
Oh,
on the
yeah.
Amaya thing?
Oh, yeah, the Nehemiah thing.
We asked Nehemiah for some additional dates
Right.
for council to meet with them.
So like, the last couple of days we sent out weren't going to work, so if somebody could check. I mean, if you have your calendars here, if you could check if it's possible. Looking at November 10th, 14th, 17th, or 18th.
At what time?
Did I send you, didn't we do a doodle?
That's what I did, yeah.
Yeah.
But
But several people couldn't make it.
so yeah,
Well, I guess we could do a
we'll send a
doodle.
doodle poll.
Yeah.
We'll do a doodle poll.
10,
hang on.
14.
Well, the 14th is the Monday where we have plan commission.
From 12 to 6 is when they're.
Yeah.
I won't be.
You don't want to do both?
10th works for me. 12 to 6.
Unless it's just 2 hours, that's their time.
They're available within that time.
Okay.
I was gonna do a poll out, it'd probably be easier.
Yeah, and the 10th I can't do.
So the
because we have
11th we're not
meeting.
doing, for sure.
Yeah,
Correct.
Okay.
or the 10th.
What was that? Okay.
So we have 14th, 17th.
I'm
And
out of town
18.
on the 14th.
You're out on the 14th?
Yep.
We'll send one out.
And if those don't work, we'll send them out for the first week of December or whatever. But if you could get back, fill it in as soon as you could so we can get it on their calendar because they get booked up pretty quickly. I think so. Other than that, anybody have any questions or anything?
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
I was.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.